What if the reason your desires feel close, yet never fully materialize, isn't because you lack effort, discipline, or belief, but because you've been taught the wrong rule of reality? Imagine this. Somewhere in a sealed box, a cat exists in a strange, impossible state, neither alive nor dead, until someone opens the lid and looks. The moment of observation decides the outcome. This isn't mythology. It's one of the most unsettling thought experiments in quantum physics. It exposes a law so profound that even the scientists who discovered it struggled to accept what it implied. Because if observation determines reality at the smallest level of existence, then a dangerous question follows. What role are you playing in the reality you experience every day? Most people think manifestation is about forcing outcomes, visualizing harder, or emotionally clinging to what they want. But quantum physics reveals something far more uncomfortable. Reality does not respond to desire, it responds to observation. Before a quantum system is measured, it exists as a field of possibilities, simultaneous realities, all equally real. The act of observation doesn't just reveal one, it collapses the field into a single experience. And here's what nobody told you. This collapse isn't caused by intention, hope, or effort. It's caused by how something is observed. Just like Schrödinger's cat, your future remains undefined until it meets your awareness. By the end, you may realize that nothing in your life is truly stuck. It's simply waiting for you to observe it differently. Reality is not as solid as it seems. What you see, touch, and move through each day feels stable, predictable, and fixed. But that sense of solidity is largely a mental construction. For centuries, classical thinking taught us that the universe exists independently of us, like a giant machine running on rigid laws, indifferent to who is watching. In that worldview, reality is something that happens to you, not something you participate in. Yet modern physics quietly dismantled this assumption. At the quantum level, the deepest layer of physical reality, matter does not behave like solid objects at all. Particles exist as probabilities rather than certainties. Before measurement, they are not located in one place or moving along one path. They exist in many possible states at once, a field of possibilities waiting to be resolved. Quantum experiments show that observation plays a decisive role in what becomes real. When a system is observed, the field of possibilities collapses into a specific outcome. Observation is not passive, it is participatory. The universe, at its most fundamental level, responds to being observed. What we experience as the visible world is the stabilized result of countless observations. The solid world feels fixed, but it is actually an ongoing process. Reality is not imaginary or unreal. It is dynamic, an unfolding event. Beneath surface stability lies a living, responsive field. And when you truly understand this, a subtle question emerges. Are you merely a spectator or an active participant in how experience takes shape? Schrödinger's cat reveals one of the deepest paradoxes at the heart of quantum physics, and it begins with an intentional provocation, not mysticism. When Erwin Schrödinger proposed this experiment in 1935, he was not trying to inspire wonder. He was trying to show how absurd quantum mechanics seemed when applied to everyday life. In the experiment, a cat is placed inside a sealed box with a device linked to a quantum event, such as the decay of a radioactive atom. If the atom decays, the device triggers and the cat dies. If it does not, the cat lives. Yet before observation, quantum theory describes the atom as both decayed and not decayed. Disturbingly, this means the cat is mathematically described as both alive and dead at the same time, until the box is opened. Schrödinger found this deeply unsettling. It contradicted everything our intuition assumes about reality, that things are always one way or another. The core insight is this: before observation, multiple states exist simultaneously. Reality does not commit to a single outcome until it is measured. It is only the act of observation, opening the box, that forces reality to resolve into one definite experience. This is not metaphor, it is mathematics. Over time, Schrödinger's cat became more than a physics problem. it became a symbol of human experience itself. Like the cat, we exist in multiple inner states at once, confident and insecure, calm and anxious, until awareness collapses them into a single identity. When you identify with fear, fear becomes real. When you observe it without attachment, it loses its dominance. Schrödinger's cat is not about animals or boxes. It is about how observation shapes experience, outer and inner alike. Each time we judge, remember, or expect, we open the box and collapse inner potential into a familiar story of who we think we are. Quantum physics does not say thoughts magically create reality, but it shows that before awareness fixes experience, many possibilities exist at once. And the way consciousness engages with those possibilities determines which one becomes real. Possibilities exist before decisions are made. Before the box is opened, the cat is neither alive nor dead in the way the human mind expects, yet paradoxically, both at the same time. This strange condition is not a trick of language. It is the natural state of quantum systems before observation. Nothing finalized, nothing decided. At that level of reality, outcomes do not yet exist as facts. They exist as overlapping probabilities, coexisting without contradiction. What feels illogical to everyday thinking is simply reality behaving beyond the limits of classical certainty. The moment observation occurs, something irreversible happens. The wave function collapses. A system that once contained countless possibilities resolves into a single, experienced reality. This transition from many possibilities to one outcome is the essence of the observation effect. Observation does not merely reveal what was already decided. It participates in the decision itself. Before measurement, reality remains open, fluid, and undecided. After observation, it appears fixed and solid. This uncertainty disturbed many scientists, not as a failure of knowledge, but as a fundamental feature of existence. This principle does not remain in laboratories. It mirrors something deeply familiar in human experience. Before awareness engages, your life does not exist as a single, predetermined path. It exists as potential. Only when attention locks onto one interpretation does experience collapse into a particular outcome. When observation is reactive, awareness collapses potential into habit. The future begins to resemble the past, but when observation becomes clear and spacious, awareness pauses, allowing new possibilities to emerge. Manifestation begins here, not with force, but with perception. Reality responds first to how it is observed. Your life is not a fixed script. It is a field of possibilities, continuously shaped by where you observe from. Observation is the true quantum law. Not desire, not intention, not effort, but observation. This is the part that is almost never explained clearly. Beneath wanting and visualization lies a quieter mechanism. Reality does not respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you consistently observe as real. What you notice, take seriously, and identify with collapses potential into lived experience. In quantum physics, observation is not neutral. It is interaction. It defines boundaries and selects outcomes. Before observation, reality exists as a spectrum. After observation, one version stabilizes. When mirrored in human life, this reveals something startling. Your inner stance shapes what becomes solid. What you repeatedly notice becomes emphasized. Awareness hardens into identity. Identity then hardens into circumstance. This is why people live different realities in the same world. Desire alone is ineffective. Desire often observes reality from the position of lack. Observation stabilizes what it sees. When awareness fixates on absence, absence is reinforced. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics go further, suggesting observation reshapes not only the future, but the past. When a new identity stabilizes, the past reorganizes to support it. Meaning shifts, memory reframes. Manifestation is not forcing the future. It is stabilizing a way of seeing. The deepest power is not in doing, but in seeing. Once something is observed as real, reality follows. Physics has reached a point where it can no longer comfortably ignore consciousness. For over a century, experiment after experiment has delivered the same unsettling message. Measurement changes the outcome. In the double-slit experiment, particles behave like waves until they are observed. Then suddenly, they behave like particles. In delayed choice experiments, the decision to observe appears to influence how a particle behaved in the past. In quantum erasure experiments, information that is erased seems to undo outcomes that were already recorded. These are not fringe ideas. They are repeatable, peer-reviewed results that continue to challenge the foundations of physics itself. What these experiments show is simple but disturbing. Reality does not behave independently of measurement. Observation is not an afterthought. It is part of the process by which reality takes form. Physics tried to sidestep this by redefining observation as interaction with instruments. But instruments are designed and interpreted by conscious observers. Data does not become meaningful until awareness enters the equation. And here, physics encounters a wall it cannot yet cross. Classical science treated consciousness as a byproduct, an effect of matter, passive and secondary. This view worked for centuries, but quantum physics destabilizes that comfort. At the quantum level, outcomes remain undefined until observation occurs. The universe refuses to be observer-free. No interpretation of quantum mechanics removes the observer without paradox. Consciousness is everywhere, yet explained nowhere. What if consciousness is not passive, but participatory, not control, but relationship? Consciousness does not command reality, it collaborates with it. Attention becomes the medium through which experience stabilizes. Physics may not yet explain consciousness, but it can no longer pretend it is irrelevant. A cat only lives or dies when looked at. Until observation occurs, its fate remains unresolved, not because reality is confused, but because it has not yet been measured. This unsettling idea mirrors something deeply familiar in human psychology. Many fears and limitations do not fully exist until they are observed and reinforced in the mind. Experience is shaped not only by events, but by how those events are mentally measured. The story you tell yourself becomes the ruler by which reality is defined. A fear does not begin as a fact. It begins as a sensation, a thought, a fleeting reaction. But when attention lingers, explains and identifies with it, that fear collapses from possibility into certainty. The same is true for limitation. Before it is named and believed, it remains fluid. Once measured against identity, it becomes real. Just like the cat, the outcome is decided at the moment of observation. You do not actualize what you want. You actualize what you continually see in yourself. Desire is secondary. What matters most is the lens through which you observe your inner world. When awareness measures lack or inadequacy, those qualities become dominant, not as punishment, but as reinforcement. This truth is rarely taught openly because it removes comfort. Responsibility shifts inward, not as blame, but as agency. Many belief systems soften responsibility by placing power elsewhere. Fate, luck, trauma, timing. But the observer effect leaves no room for passive hope. Waiting without changing observation reinforces the same outcome. Superficial positivity fails because it does not change observation. It intensifies resistance. True change begins when awareness shifts from judgment to observation, from narration to presence. Attention is never neutral. Wherever it rests, reality organizes itself around that focus. The cat does not choose its fate, but the observer chooses when and how to look. And in human experience, that choice makes all the difference. Separation is probably just an illusion. At the deepest level uncovered by modern physics, reality does not behave like isolated objects, moving independently through empty space. Quantum entanglement reveals something far stranger. Particles that have interacted remain connected, even across vast distances. A change measured in one is instantly reflected in the other, without any signal passing between them. Classical logic says this should be impossible, and yet it happens, consistently, predictably, and beyond dispute. The implication is subtle, but profound. Beneath appearances, reality behaves as a single, interconnected field. If this is true at the level of matter, it invites a deeper reflection about human experience. We are taught to see ourselves as separate minds in separate bodies, moving through an independent world. Entanglement suggests those boundaries may be perceptual conveniences, not absolute truths. This insight reshapes how we understand meaning, identity, and trauma. Past events occurred, but their meaning is not fixed. Meaning is created in the present through perception. This is why memory reframing and narrative therapy are effective. They change relationship, not history. Neuroscience confirms this. Each time a memory is recalled, it becomes temporarily unstable. This process, reconsolidation, means memory is not static. The present reshapes the past. Seen this way, identity becomes fluid. You are not a fixed self moving through time. Trauma does not permanently define you. It reflects how perception once collapsed experience. Healing is not erasing the past. It is changing the field in which the past is held. Nothing truly exists in isolation. Not particles, not memories, not selves. Separation feels real, but beneath it, connection persists. Meaning is not fixed, and neither are you. You are not passive. You are a participant. And this is not spiritual optimism. It is a practical framework for navigating modern life. Quantum physics does not say you can bend reality with positive thinking. It does not support fantasy or denial. What it reveals is something far more empowering. You are not a helpless observer in a pre-written world. Your attention matters. Your awareness plays a role. Consciousness participates in how reality unfolds. This shifts the focus away from control and toward relationship. You are here to interact with reality, not dominate it or surrender to it. Quantum physics shows outcomes are not fixed until interaction occurs. Observation influences what becomes real. In daily life, this means how you engage, mentally, emotionally, attentively, affects how situations evolve. Not instantly, not magically, but meaningfully. The classical worldview taught us we are products of circumstance, shaped by past, biology, and chance. Quantum insight adds a correction. You are shaped and shaping. Consciousness stabilizes experience. This is why attention is powerful. What you attend to becomes emphasized. What you ignore fades. When attention fixes on helplessness or resentment, those states are reinforced. When it shifts to clarity, new responses appear. Your inner world matters fundamentally. It is the interface through which reality is processed. When you observe yourself honestly, misery becomes information. Dissatisfaction becomes guidance. This is where real problem-solving begins, not by suppression, but by understanding. Small shifts in perception lead to different choices and different trajectories. Consciousness is not a luxury. It is a tool for deliberate engagement rather than automatic reaction. Quantum physics does not promise ease, but it removes the lie that you are powerless. You are not here to endure reality. You are here to interact with it. And when awareness becomes active, life stops happening to you and starts happening with you.